Or call 1-800.
You've landed on the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship from New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's MotoAmerica's Superbikes at New Jersey from beautiful Millville, New Jersey. Hello everyone, welcome to the Supersport Show. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time AMA champ Jason Pridmore. Jason, Richie Escalante is the star of the sport, and so far this season, he's won 9 of 11 races.
Yeah, and he had a hiccup there in Washington. He goes in there with a big points lead, finds himself in a first-turn altercation in turn 1 there at the chicane at the Ridge. Comes here yesterday, put in a dominant performance.
For Richie Escalante, it was a very entertaining race, so why don't we take a look at some highlights.
When you looked at the start yesterday, Sean Dillon Kelly puts it on pole and gets a perfect start. Kind of thought we'd see him put his head down and get away, but he had some problems he had to deal with during the race that would mark him back to third. And you can see here, it was the 3 guys that we've seen all year battling for podium positions. Brandon Posh makes it seem very early that he wants to be in the mix for this win, slides himself up into second, only to have Escalante a few laps later right around the outside of him. And once he got to the front, Escalante started to pull away. Here, Brandon Posh slots himself into second behind the Kawasaki rider, and these 2 guys would pull away from SDK and this battle for third. And you can see there, Xavier Zayat put himself in the forefront as well. The battle for top 5 came down between Almeida and Benjamin Smith. Eventually would go to Kevin Almeida. But out in front, towards the end of the race, Escalante proved his dominance, rode smooth, consistent, fast lap times, and ran away with another win.
He certainly did. And Jason, for Brandon Posh, who was able to finish second in this race, that was his second place finish. Now, when we talk about Brandon Posh, Jason, he is a local guy. He likes this track and everything. But at this level, does it really make that big of a difference?
No, you know, coming into a track, even if you've known it, everybody's so fast now. But Brandon yesterday showed me something. He was only 3.1 seconds back at the end of that race yesterday. And he had a lot of good pace mid-race, from the beginning to mid-race. I think if he could work on his last 4 or 5 laps of the performance of that bike and himself, I think he'll be able to push these guys all the way to the finish line today.
Yeah, and that's where Brandon Posh and his team, they really are. He let his crew work on the bike. He said, here's what my issues are. And in morning warm-up, they're working on that solution. For Brandon Posh, it all comes down to those last 4 laps. You can see in 11 starts, 9 podium positions. He's got 7 third-place finishes. He's third in the championship, but he's really looking to make some moves. As for the rest of the field in Supersport, we have a rising star, Xavier Zayat. He's had a great progression, and we're going to talk to him when we return to MotoAmerica Supersport.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Back at New Jersey Motorsports Park, anticipating the start of the Supersport race number 2, in our final Supersport race of the day. Now, Jason, looking at the field of Supersport riders, we've had 3 at the top so far all year long. Of course, it's been Brandon Posh, who has been a standout, I think kind of the 3rd guy, and then you've had Sean Dillon Kelly, who was the early favorite, and of course Richie Escalante, who's leading this championship. So we turn and look down the field and say, who is coming up in the field? And Xavier Zayat name, his last couple of races, I would say 4 or 5 races, he's really started to chip away at the top 3.
Yeah, no question. The neat thing for me seeing Xavier Zayat is he's been around for a while, but I think he's been marred with a lot of bad luck, to be fair. And this year, he's here for the whole season, which has been great. The N2 guys have got together, put him on a bike for the season, and he's just slowly, progressively getting better. We saw a good result at the Ridge, and then yesterday here as well. Kevin Almeida is another guy that we throw in there, but it's good to see Xavier Zayat get up front with those guys yesterday.
Yeah, at 21 years old, he's been around for a while, and our very own Hannah Lopa had a chance to go visit with Xavier Zayat and talk to him about his season.
Greg, I'm here in the N2 racing pit with Xavier Zayat, who has been making steady progress this season. His last 5 results, 7th, 6th, 5th, and now 2 4th places. Xavier, what do you attribute to that progress that you've made? What's really working for you out there?
So I've definitely got a great team behind me. We come after every race, every weekend, and we spend a lot of time with our data and all the tools that we have this year. And in between all that, like, we kind of, come up with little things to make our package better, and our package has been slowly getting better throughout the year.
How do you plan to keep that momentum going and potentially get your first podium in the second half of this season?
try my best. Like I said, you know, it's kind of sticking to the plan, sticking to trying to make progress. It's been really good. I've been really happy to get these improvements. But yeah, we worked really, really hard as a team, and I mean, honestly, I love my team. So.
Thanks, Xavier. We'll see you on the grid.
Yep.
Guys.
Jason, loving your team is really critical. Look at the last 5 starts. So he hasn't finished lower than 7th place, and the reality is it's been 6th, 5th, and now a couple of 4th place. It's really a perfect linear jump for him, with the next stop being on the podium.
Yeah, no question. I think we could see him there as well, because we've seen him there in the past as far as being able to run up front with these guys. And we're going to look now, Greg, at the Cycle Gear track map, see where these guys are going to be racing. You can see that straightaway. It's really a track that doesn't have a lot of straightaways, not a lot of elevation either, only 2.25 miles long. It is, Greg, the shortest lap that we have in this series, and it's a fast one. It's about 1:20 to 1:23, 24 for these guys on the 600s. So it's a fast lap for these guys.
And the rider who's got it figured out the best, at least yesterday, is Richie Escalante. The other riders have a lot of work to do to figure out how to put this guy behind him.
It's not.
Hold this or not?
Good news if you're a motorcycle road race fan. MotoAmerica Supersport bikes are on their warm-up lap, so we're moments away from getting this one going. Here's how they're going to line up. On pole position will be Sean Dylan Kelly, M4 ECSTAR Suzuki with Rich Escalante and Brandon Posh.
Then we got Benjamin Smith, Kevin Almeida, Xavier Zayat, who we saw in an earlier piece, starting P6. Lucas Silva, Nate Minster, Jarrett Nassani from row 3. Then we got Aguilar, Thermiotis, and Nolan Lampkin back on row number 4. Tony Blackall, Anthony Furia, Scott Briodi, and then Edgar Zaragoza actually round out the.
All right, let's get down to Hannah before this race gets going. What's up, Hannah?
Greg, you mentioned Sean Dylan Kelly is our pole setter for the weekend. Yesterday didn't get the result that he thought he was capable of, or that his bike was capable of. He ran into a small electrical issue during the race. They got that sorted for today, but when asked about his strategy, he said he's prepared not to react, but to respond. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's good. I think that's how he's got to be. I think he had a plan yesterday that he wanted to try to put out, and he wasn't able to do it. He had that problem, like you say, Hannah. So I think today he'll be a different rider.
Upper left-hand part of the screen when those red lights are going to go on, and then when they go off, we're going to go racing. Revs are up, and here we go. Supersport race number 2. Escalante, not a great launch. He might get swallowed up, and it looks like Sean Dylan Kelly with a good one. Wheel in the air when it hit the ground, little puff of smoke. So M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, Sean Dylan Kelly will lead the way. Posh with a mistake coming out of turn number 1.
Yes, and Almeida is the one that got the great start from the second row, as well as Lucas Silva had a great jump also. So Kevin Almeida going to work here in second place, right behind SDK. Escalante gets a kind of a gift from Brandon Posh. It's one less guy he's got to try to pass, and Brandon moves back down to 4th.
So what a mix-up in the order as Richie Escalante in 3rd place on that Honos Kawasaki. With Kevin Almeida, Altus Motorsports GSXR 600 in front, but Sean Dylan Kelly trying to set sail. These are the opportunities that this 18-year-old from Florida needs. If he has the pace to get away from Richie Escalante, we know Escalante's race strategy. He likes to get out there, do a couple quick laps, pace himself in the middle, and then throw the hammer down with about 4 to go.
Yeah, this is a good spot for SDK. He's got the same start as he did yesterday, because Xavier's just on the back there of Brandon Posh. But SDK got a good start. Escalante is going to be patient until they get to this front straightaway and probably try to draft past Almeida once they get out here, make this pass a little easier for himself. And as they come out of that last corner, Escalante is in the draft of Almeida. Almeida in the draft of STK. Let's see if Escalante is able to get by. He's not able to. Almeida late on the brakes as they roll off into turn number 1.
I like what Kevin Almeida did there. So Almeida
really taking advantage, Greg, of having new tires, and that's what Almeida's got to do. You got to get up there and stay up there a little bit longer than he did yesterday. Yesterday he kind of went backwards, got into that battle of 5th place late in the race with Benjamin Smith. And Almeida right now, he can go to school, see what SDK is doing on an identical bike. He's got Escalante right behind him, but Kevin Almeida, this is good times for him to be learning as much as he can.
Yeah, and you can see that Kevin he's kind of at the limit of his pace. You can see the body language when he's making those transitions, moving quite around a lot. 19 years old, from El Salvador, Kevin Olmedo. He's been planted here in the U.S. because of COVID-19 at his uncle's house in Texas, just training, watching racing, and keeping his mind in it, and it's really proven well. His Altus Motorsports team has been working really well for him. He started the year off, very first race of the season, with a podium, and we thought we had seen the coming out party of Kevin Olmedo. But it's been kind of hit or miss all season long, and now he's putting himself in a really good position. The question becomes, does he have the pace over the course of the race?
Well, especially as tires go off, and that's going to be the tell. But so far, he's doing a great job, and he's going to get a sniff of Sean Dillon Kelly's draft right now as they come out of that last corner, and he's trying to lead his first race. Escalante now on the inside, double drafts both those Suzukis down the front straight.
What a big hole in the air it was as the lead has changed now. Richie Escalante, this is where the Supersport field has got to be careful. Somebody's got to go throw a shot at Escalante or he's going to start having his way.
Yeah, and SDK is going to be there to try to do that. Almedo gets shuffled back to third. You can see Posh there is also part of this leading group in fourth, and he's going to be just kind of going to school and trying to figure out where to get by Olmedo. Olmedo's not holding anybody up. Here comes SDK having a look down the inside.
Beautiful move by Sean Dillon Kelly to rough up Escalante, and there goes Posh. That's exactly what the race strategy is with Escalante. So now you have a Suzuki leading a Yamaha and a Kawasaki. What a move by Sean Dillon Kelly.
Yeah, that's what he's got to do, and it was, Brandon just struck there. Obviously, Brandon had got by Olmedo, probably going into that fast turn 4 kink just behind these guys, and he took advantage of what was able to happen there to Escalante by SDK. So now they're over in the turn 10 area. You can see this is on the left-hand side, coming up the front straightaway, 3 wide going into there. Escalante makes that pass as they go down into turn 1. But now you can see Posh on the bottom right-hand side of our screen. He is going to try to draft by SDK. Escalante should get a good run on both of them out of here as well. Here's the pass down as SDK goes up underneath Escalante into turn 4. And Brandon Posh, in turn, was doing the exact same thing, turn 5 rather, to
and
Kevin
there's
Olmedo.
A pass for the lead. So Posh on the front straightaway takes over the lead from Sean Dillon Kelly. A very typical draft and pass maneuver. And it looks like Benjamin Smith around Richie Escalante. Boy, Escalante's getting roughed up.
Yep, that's what drafting and redrafting can do. And right now, Brandon Posh, this is where we didn't get to see yesterday. We never got to see Brandon lead this race. So now we're going to be able to see if he can lead this race and get away at all. I don't think SDK is going to be able to go up the inside of Brandon here quite as easy as he was with Escalante. Escalante back in 5th spot now. He's got Xavier Zaya and Lucas Silva doing battle with him. We got 7 riders in the lead group.
Yeah, like Lucas Silva back there on the 23 M4 ECSTAR Suzuki. So Celtic HSBK Racing's Brandon Posh, the local hero, the 2019 British Superbike Moto3 champion on the 600cc Supersport machine, trying to hold off the advances of Sean Dillon Kelly. And right behind him, Kevin Olmedo on that Altus Motorsports motorcycle.
Oh, Escalante got so out of shape going into turn 1, and that's what allowed Benjamin Smith to go up underneath him. Olmedo was to the inside of him. Escalante looked like he let the clutch out, and the rear of the bike snapped around on him. So now he's going to just have to go back to work. He's got a lot of time left in this race, does Escalante. We'll look at the lap times here, Greg. They are in the 23.4 range. Yesterday we saw them get into the 22s, so they're a little bit off right now, but that's because of all the Dyson. Escalante moves himself to 4th.
Track conditions a little different from yesterday in terms of, as Brandon Posh goes a little bit wide. Jason, the temperature outside is a little warmer than yesterday, but what the big distinction is in terms of track temperature, there's been a cloud cover all day.
Yeah, there was actually some sprinkles in the area not that long ago, and we were told no rain whatsoever today, but it seems like when we come to New Jersey, we just happen to get rain all the time, but hopefully it just stays away for the day. Lead 3, good to see Olmedo still keeping himself right in that hunt, right in that fight right now.
Not a torrid pace at the moment, mid-23.4s for the top 7. So basically last time by the stripe, Lucas Silva was going pretty well. And Jason, so far in this lap, Lucas Silva, the number 23 rider, M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, has set the fastest first split and a personal best on the second split. So anyone's really got a chance at getting the fastest lap of the race at this point. It's credited to Brandon Posh, our current leader, at a 23.435. That was 2 laps ago. Kevin Olmedo, the number 16, in 3rd spot, trying to keep Sean Dillon Kelly in his sights. Onto the front straightaway we come. Behind the bubble, Does the Suzuki GSX-R 600 have something for this Yamaha R6? Sean Dillon Kelly in the draft. He pops out of the bubble. They go deep into turn one. Almeida looked like he may have given it a go.
Yeah, you could see Almeida was on the brink there. I mean, that front end started to move a little bit under that heavy braking as he started to tip in. Sean Dillon Kelly gets shot up out of the seat out of turn 2 as they roll down into this turn 3 A, B, C area. On the exit of this, it's very crowned here, Greg, as you come up over the top of that. So got to be careful with throttle modulation as you come down through that little spot.
Richie Escalante in 4th position on the Honos Kawasaki. Just set the fastest lap of the race, a 23.333. So Escalante on the move, but so is Lucas Silva, the 23, right behind Escalante. He's now shuffled the 88 of Benjamin Smith back, as well as Xavier Zayat, the 24. 15 laps remaining in this one. M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, Sean Dillon Kelly leads the way after a nice draft and pass move on the front straightaway. Look at Kevin Almeida trying to find his way around Brandon Posh.
You know, once you realize when you're Kevin Almeida or Lucas Silva or Benjamin Smith, Xavier Zayat, once you realize, hey, these guys aren't really getting away, then you can start to try to make some plans and kind of see where you might actually even be better than where they are. So here we go. They're coming on that front straightaway again. Kevin's just a little bit too far back right now to take advantage of the double draft. Sean Dillon Kelly moves over to the right very wisely. It's going to put him to the inside as they come down to turn 1.
There goes Brandon Posh. He had the pass, but does he have the line? He does. He saws off the front of Sean Dillon Kelly. So Posh back up front, all the while Olmeido's hanging around. And what about Richie Escalante, the 54, your points leader? He's hanging back there in 4th position. So now it looks like the top 4 are starting to break away ever so slightly from the 23 of Lucas Silva.
Wow, Lucas is still trying to hang on there, Greg, and bring those other 3 guys with him. I like what I'm seeing out of Escalante because we've seen him before get really frantic in these spots. He knows these guys aren't getting away. He's been roughed up a little bit, but he's being very patient. Right now, Kevin Almeida, when he comes out of turn 10, just loses that gap going through those S's before they come on the front straight. So it makes it a lot harder for him to be able to get in the draft of these 2 guys. You see Posh actually went down the outside, drafted down the outside of SDK. SDK pulled over coming onto the front straightaway, but Brandon was still able to make that pass.
Into the very disciplined, tight series it turns here at New Jersey Motorsports Park as we start to set up the last unwinding quarters that'll send you onto the front straightaway. So right now it's Celtic HSBK's Brandon Posh.
Now Kevin did a good job here. He'll be able to get the draft of Sean Dillon Kelly down that front straightaway, and you can see Escalante doesn't really have anywhere to go as SDK tries to power past Brandon Posh. And Kevin Almeida's in deep.
Huge mistake. He had nowhere to go. What a save. Can he hold on to it? He does. But no, Almeida has lost touch with those top 3. So all it took was that little bit of a mistake. Nowhere to go under braking, so Almeida's out of it.
That's the draft. That's the draft that you see. He's not out of it, Greg. He's still there. He's going to be 5th, but he's got his work cut out now for him. He's got to get back up to Lucas Silva and try to hopefully not rough each other up too much. I still think they can go with these 3. You can see he's going to pop out onto the outside, but he's in the draft, and now he's in deep, and guys are starting to break in front of him, and he was lucky not to collect the back of Brandon Posh there.
What a level of skill to save that motorcycle from Kevin Almeida. Great job to keep it on 2 wheels. Back up front we go, Sean Dillon Kelly. M4 ECSTAR Suzuki. Without question, beginning of this season, we all looked at him as the series favorite. We saw the combination of Honos Kawasaki and Richie Escalante and his crew. Oh! And see, Almeida now looks to be a little bit hectic in trying to get around Lucas Silva.
He wants to get back up to where the battle is at the front there. He was in it, and he got to feel it. Now he wants to get back there. Now he's got to be kind of patient, but he should be able to maybe get by Lucas. They come down the front straightaway. You see Brandon look over at his pit board as he drafts past SDK. All the while, that number 54 is just kind of sitting there pretty patient as Escalante this early.
I like the fact that Brandon Posh had a move. It looked like he had the pass. But Sean Dillon Kelly just let off the brake lever and held on to the position.
You see just behind these guys, Almeida did make that pass to get himself up back to that 4th place position.
Getting close to halfway of this race, and Man, it certainly was exciting with some new players involved, but these top three have started to settle themselves out. So Almeida's by now. We're going to get to see what he's had in the tank.
The pace is not fast. The pace is actually really slow. They're doing 24.0, 24.0 that last time by the first two guys. So I think Almeida will get right back on the back of them, if not this lap, then in a lap or so, because they're just going to draft each other down the front straightaway. And when they get down into turn one, when they're sorting themselves out down into turn one, it slows everything down, and you can see Almeida's already starting to pick away at that gap again.
What's interesting, Jason, we look at Dunlop tires and talking about tire selection, Escalante and Kelly, they're on that extra soft rear, but Brandon Posh has decided to go with the soft rear, so it's a harder option tire for Brandon Posh, trying to solve that problem of those last 4 laps. But right now, Posh has got some other concerns as Sean Dillon Kelly is starting to eke away. And as he comes across the stripe with clear track, 23.8, and here comes Richie Escalante by Posh.
And you can see what Escalante's done. He has been very patient in this race, and I mean that in a respectful way, not that he's not being aggressive. He's just letting things play out a little bit in front of him, and this is what comes when you start winning a lot of races like he has this year. He'd never won before the start of this season. Planning your races is something that you can do. These guys in front of him, he has seen, I think, that the best that they have. SDK is doing a great job now as he goes back to the front. 23.8 that time by from SDK. Kevin Almeida, 23.6. So the pace, Greg, isn't super fast. That's what allowed all these other guys. Looked like Benjamin Smith was trying to take a stab at Xavier Zayat there in turn number 5. But that's why it's gotten so close together.
Sean Dillon Kelly looks like he's coming under fire from Richie Escalante as we're closing in on the halfway mark, Hannah.
Greg, you mentioned that tire choice. I talked to him, and we're at the halfway point of this race. He said, you know, he wants to manage the tire better today than yesterday. Crew Chief Jeremy Toy made some adjustments to that rear shock specifically to plan for the second half of this race because Sean knew that it was going to be a battle to the finish.
And Jason, if you think about it, Richie Escalante, for the most part, his strategy of going quick a couple laps, managing, and then going quick on those last 4 laps, that might be out the window because he's had to use maybe a little more tire than he planned on trying to get around all these racers. As now Richie Escalante, no. Sean Dillon Kelly is looking like a monster on the brakes into turn 1.
Yep, and Sean Dillon Kelly looks great. They're back into the mid-23s now, which is where I'd expect them to be, or maybe even a little bit quicker. But yeah, you know, Greg, I think right now it's just they're kind of feeling each other out a little bit to see where each other are strong. Escalante is still really fast through that last corner, which will play a benefit for him if it comes down to where he has to draft back past SDK. All through here, I think it's going to be really hard for these guys to pass each other, even though we saw SDK go underneath Escalante early in the race here.
And here's the other thing. Kevin Almeida is chipping away at the gap between himself and Brandon Posh. Hasn't shown up on our timing and scoring boards necessarily in terms of outright lap time, but the Altus Motorsports rider on the GSXR 600, he has not lost touch. Brandon Posh does not have a guaranteed podium here by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, Brandon's actually losing a little time on the front 2 guys, which is a little bit surprising. So be interesting to see, you know, the pace of yesterday to today, because I know that they ended up going a little bit quicker. So. And SDK is going to know that. This might be the spot he wants to be in to kind of control the pace right now.
Sean Dillon Kelly, number 40, our leader. Richie Escalante, our points championship leader in the draft. He got a good drive onto the front straightaway. He comes across the line. Sean Dillon Kelly credited with that lap lead, but Escalante rolls it right into turn number 1, and he takes point again. We've seen this earlier this race. SDK knows he's got to get by Escalante and keep him behind him as soon as he possibly can, or the threat of Escalante starting to eke away from this field exists.
Yep. Sean Dillon Kelly, I like how he's lined through there. It's going to give him a really good drive as they roll into this really fast right. Should put him close again as they tip into turn 5. Let's see if Escalante closes the door, if SDK goes again.
There he goes, up the inside goes Richie Escalante, or Sean Dillon Kelly around Richie Escalante on the right part of your screen. Live pictures, and Brandon Posh goes around as well.
Yeah, really surprised to see Escalante leave that door open again like he did there. I feel like that was he'd already seen that shot thrown down the inside of him once. he needs to try to lead one lap, but that's going to fire up Escalante now. Brandon Posh again takes advantage. Good for STK, firing it back right down to the inside of him again. That's exactly what he needs to do. Like you said earlier, Greg, roughing guys up a little bit that have been winning a lot. You got to come at them a little bit harder. We're getting down to those last races of the year for the championship. STK needs to make up some points. Really good move.
All the while, Kevin Olmedo still hanging around. Sean Dillon Kelly is putting on a performance on how you race in Supersport. And Brandon Posh, we thought, man, just a couple laps ago that maybe he lost some touch, but 24-3 by the stripe this time.
Yeah, and that's what's allowed Brandon to kind of stay there. Those guys battling, and it'll be, you know, interesting to see. I was looking for those splits once Escalante took the lead to see if the splits started to come down at all, but STK didn't give him a chance to lead a lap. So that's going to be STK's plan. Is he goes by me, I got to fire right back right at him. So they roll back in here into the turn 5. Looks like they're going to be coming up on a back marker as well. Our lead 4 are all together. Almedo has done the work as far as closing the gap back down to these top 3 guys. So Almedo is back in the hunt. He will be able to take advantage a little bit of that draft. As you can see, STK with clear track pulls away from Brandon Posh a little bit. That first split there, he gained 3/10 on Brandon just in the first split. Now, if he's able to get around this back marker in a spot, as you can see, he's trying to go around the outside of that back marker on the bottom right. Escalante, this is where he was passed just 2 laps, a lap and a half ago.
Yeah, it was such a brilliant move.
Yep, Brandon just took advantage of that, which was perfect.
So now they're all back together. Onto the front straightaway they come. And they're back in a group of 3.5 at this point, as Olmedo is just a couple of bike lengths behind. Escalante onto the front straightaway kind of paced himself. It looks like he was trying to maximize that draft, but Brandon Posh had no interest in giving him a double draft, as Posh was trying to get back around Sean Dillon Kelly. M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, Sean Dillon Kelly, GSXR 600 versus Celtic HSBK Racing Yamaha R6. Richie Escalante on that Ninja 6R and a Suzuki GSXR right behind in Kevin Olmedo. The lead bike and the bike in 4th place share pedigree. Team Hammer, technical partners for Altus Motorsports. So Kevin Olmedo on a similar motorcycle as Sean Dillon Kelly out front. And man, they've put together some great motorcycles. You can see the speed of these same motorcycles that you can go to your showroom floor and dealership and buy them right off the showroom floor. A couple of mods and you're Supersport racing. But to the level of Sean Dillon Kelly, Brandon Posh, Richie Escalante, and Kevin Olmedo, well, if you're this good, you need to come racing. Sean Dillon Kelly putting on a clinic on how you race a motorcycle. It's not always about just going fast. It's about how you're going to manage this race. The question becomes, as Hannah spoke about earlier, do they have the issue of the last couple laps resolved? Because as we get closer and closer to this window, when SDK goes across the stripe, it's going to be 6 to go. We're starting to get in that window of Richie Escalante and tire management. There goes Brandon Posh.
Yeah,
he goes
trying.
up the inside. Not quite.
Not going to make it there. And I'm watching all the bikes right now, and Escalante's bike has a little bit of movement in some spots. I don't remember it yesterday. So, you know, Richie, I don't think he's really fighting a problem. I still feel like he's kind of pacing things a little bit as they go down through this little chicane area on the backside of New Jersey Motorsports Park. You can see SDK's bike works really good through that right, left, right there. Escalante now behind. It looks like he's going to try to do something with Brandon. Let's see if he can. Nope, Brandon's very tight. Just closes that door right off. Almedo is there, and even if you look just behind, you could see Xavier Zayat's trying. He was right around the same pace. He was about 4/10 off the leaders that time, but they're back now, Greg, at 24 flats. We've seen these guys go up to as high as 24 2s, 3s, and 4s, and 24 flat that last time by, with 23.3 being the quickest lap of the race.
If you saw a couple of corners ago, Sean Dillon Kelly was reaching up, and it looked like he was messing with something on his chin. I know those Arai helmets have a vent that's in the chin,
yep.
And sometimes if you're huffing and puffing and that vent's not open, it can fog up your visor. So I wonder if he was doing that, but I did see that for a moment. But back to race action. Sean Dillon Kelly, onto the front we go.
Escalante's got a great run out of the last corner here. See if he can get up alongside Brandon. Brandon's doing a good job of staying over to the right. But yesterday we saw Escalante do this and right around the outside. It's exactly
sideways.
what he does again, Greg. He rolled right around the outside of Brandon Posh, let go of that lever, and gets past him. Now, I believe that if Escalante gets by, you're not going to see him go anywhere near opening up the door in 5. That's if he can get by the number 40 of SDK.
So we're in the window now, 4.5 laps to go. This is where Richie Escalante, where they set up the bike and where he's been so good at managing the tires. But a big question mark for me in this one for Richie Escalante. This is where we've seen earlier on in the season where Escalante's body language has looked a little hectic when he's trying to get around someone. It seems like from what we saw even yesterday that he's cleaned that up.
Yep, he really has. He's so much less frantic. He's watching what's going on in front of him, and he's taking the measure. He's got more laps behind these two guys in this race than they have obviously behind him. So he's really been able to watch them, study them, see where they might be having any issues or not. You can see it's a couple back markers getting out of the way. We got one there, and then we've got, I think there's somebody else there that's good. Tony, I think that's Tony and looks like Scott Briotti maybe.
Yeah, Tony Blackall.
Yep, both those guys, and you can see it's now they got a gap back to third, but Escalante is right on the back of SDK as they come out of the last corner.
Here's the drive, head down behind the bubble, and he goes around the outside and takes over the lead as they go into turn 1. Oh, Escalante's in there deep. A lot of protest from that front end of his motorcycle, but he sticks it. And so now it's Escalante, but a couple corners from now is when Sean Dillon Kelly likes to attack.
Well, SDK is really good through here as well. His bike, if you can see it, you can see just right there in that transition from that left to the right. SDK is really good, but he's already taken. Oh man, SDK almost got onto the grass.
Yeah, it looked like he jumped off for a second.
And look at now, Escalante really closed off that inside move there. SDK was lucky. I thought he was gotten into the grass there for a second, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it just kind of fallen off the track, the edge of the track, just for a moment. Yes. Boy, that's a heart pounder for everyone. This is Escalante, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
look at SDK running it up in there.
Last time by 23.8. So Escalante got back into the 23s last time through. So, but look at SDK going right with him. The GSXR handles really good all through these little sections. So the changes, if they made changes last night, like we were talked about, SDK's bike actually looked better to me through all those tight, twisty stuff.
See what kind of drive Sean Dillon Kelly gets onto the front straightaway. Ooh, Richie Escalante got a really good one. Pulled about a half a bike length, but the draft makes a difference. Sean Dillon Kelly's in the draft. They pull out. Who's going to have it into turn number 1? SDK with position. Can he get it? He holds on to it. Can he get it back down to the apex for turn 2? Up and over the hill they go. A good move, 23.5.
Yeah, the lap times they just dropped again, so they're back into the mid-23s. And looking at what's going on here, SDK is here to fight, and it didn't look like, Greg, as far as the draft goes, he was able to get through on the draft, but he did such a good job when they got down to the end of that front straightaway, getting down into turn 1. Look at Escalante trying to pay back SDK.
Oh, they're side by side. Escalante gets a turn. Sean Dillon Kelly had nowhere to go. He takes a look over his shoulder to see if anyone else is going to attack him. So SDK knows a couple bike lengths, which means you're all clear for your strategy. 2.5 laps remaining in this one. Boy, if your heart's in your throat, we understand why. What is going to happen at the finish of this Supersport race? It's been crazy so far.
All through here, SDK's got the measure of Escalante all through this right and this next left. Look at how quick and easy SDK's bike turns and the movement that was in Escalante's bike through that right now. He's going to try to stuff it up underneath him. What a move!
Kidding me, Sean Dillon Kelly? What a move!
That's because he's got so much confidence in the bike. You can see how it just works through there for him. He's able to just carve right underneath in turn 10.
If you're stunned, I understand why. So is Richie Escalante. Does he have enough to pay him back? No. Into turn 1 goes Sean Dillon Kelly. 2 laps to go in this race. And all the while, if things get a little too chippy up front, Brandon Posh is right there to steal victory.
And by the way, SDK made that look so easy. He just committed to rolling up underneath Escalante in the middle of that turn. Now he's got the lead back. We've got about a lap and a half to go, Greg. They're going to see the white flag next time by. I believe SDK will shut the door here going into 5. Yes, he does. He closes it nice and shut. So now these guys have kind of seen where they're both good, where they're both could improve. Now they're dictating to each other, hey, this is where I'm going to be. What have you got next?
That's the thing. If you're Richie Escalante, you said, okay, I've tried him here, I've tried him there, I've been able to pass. But what about that run to the checkered flag?
Right now, Escalante is going to have to come out of the last corner really well. draft down the front straightaway, and then close every door possible. And the whole while, you got Brandon Posh on the 21 just sitting there waiting for these two guys to come together. Now, this is where we saw STK's bike handle so good right in the middle of this corner. Escalante now getting out of here has got to try to get on the back of that number 40 and draft down the front straightaway. I expect when they come out of here, STK to move over to the right to make Escalante try to go down the outside of him again as the white flag flies.
There goes Escalante. He's in the draft. It was SDK, though, who made his run to the finish line. So if that's a dress rehearsal of what's to come, it looks like the M4 ECSTAR Suzuki would have the legs to outpace that Kawasaki. But Richie Escalante knows he's got to get by him. Oh, and he gets a little out of shape. It looked like he was trying to set up a move, but boy, the inside of that little hill, it gets a little bit sharp up there and got that Honos Kawasaki out of shape. Posh is hanging.
This is where Brandon can take advantage of something coming down into turn 5. You can see SDK shuts the door on any kind of thought going into 4. Escalante might try to squeeze down. He can't get there.
Boy, if you think Richie Escalante is thinking championship, he doesn't care. It's all about this race win. These three have been the standouts in Supersport working this final lap. Who is going to have it to the checkered flag? We got about half a lap to go, and Sean Dylan Kelly's looking good. Is he going to slam the door on Escalante?
He's done a great job so far. He slammed the door in 5. He slammed the door in 6. Now Escalante's trying to go up underneath. Now this is where SDK's bike works so well. If he can get a good drive through the middle and out of turn 10, I think he can possibly look at it now. Brandon Posh trying to get by Escalante.
They touch. Escalante's pushed wide. Brandon Posh with an aggressive move. Could that be all Sean Dylan Kelly needs? Brandon Posh trying to get a good drive onto the front straightaway. They come. Posh in the bubble. Does he have it for his first win?
Oh.
Now they come to the line. Sean Dylan Kelly by 11 thousandths of a second over Richie Escalante. Brandon Posh in second. Outstanding run. What a race. Kevin Olmedo gives way to Xavier Zayat in 5th. Benjamin Smith in 6th.
That was the best race we've had all year. Here we go. Who's coming out at the... When you look at what these guys did, Lucas Silva's going to come across in 7th. Man, Brandon Posh, what a move in turn 10, and almost, Greg, got his first win doing so.
Unbelievable. If your heart's still pounding, it's going to be. Cannot wait to hear what Sean Dylan Kelly has to say in Winner's Circle after this one.
Yeah, that's how SDK, that's what we expect from him. Obviously, last year he was close here. He won a couple of those races in Pittsburgh, and we saw him get up front all year last year. But that race there, man, the stuff he pulled off in 5, 10, and I mean, really, what he did in turn 10 showed Brandon Posh, hey, this is where it can be done to Escalante. That's why Brandon Posh was able to do what he did.
What a move. What a race. Brandon Posh, too. You got to love what you saw by Posh on that last lap. And for Richie Escalante, he fell victim to a door that was open about 1 inch twice.
Yep, and you know, the thing is that this means, and that could have ended really bad for both those guys. They both did a good job, but that's what you got to do on the last lap. Good for Brandon Posh. That door was open. But what really is good there for SDK, he lost no points this weekend. Yesterday he finished 3rd and Escalante won, and today those roles were reversed. So really, really good.
Front wheel in the air, and Sean Dylan Kelly is pumped about that victory. Woo! All right, we're going to let you catch your breath. On the other side of this, we're going to hear from Sean Dylan Kelly and find out how the heck he pulled off that incredible victory.
Supersport race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park, where Supersport sophomore, 18-year-old Sean Dylan Kelly just put on an unbelievable show for all the fans here and you. As we have a look at those results, you can see 11 thousandths of a second margin of victory over Brandon Posh and Escalante, half a second behind after getting roughed up with a couple corners to go. Not sure what happened with Kevin Olmedo, Jason, on that one.
Yeah, look, he came coasting across the line there, Greg. Look back a little further. Minster, Lampkin, Thermiota, Zaragoza, Briota, they all get points. But yeah, it looked like Kevin had some sort of issue as he was coming across the line for sure.
Well, it's time to go talk to the guy who put on a great show and grabs another victory this season, Sean Dylan Kelly. He's with Hannah.
Sean's just celebrating with some of our incredible fans that are here this weekend. Sean retook the lead with a lap and a half to go with an impressive pass up the inside of Escalante. Sean, what gave you the confidence to execute that move and make it stick?
Well, first of all, I have to give it to my team, my whole M4 ECSTAR Suzuki team. You know, yesterday we had a little bit of an issue with the bike in the race, so we weren't able to fight as we wanted to, but we did our homework, and my crew chief, Jeremy Toy, definitely did his hours, as long as all my other guys. So huge thank you to them, because they really made it happen, and the bike was amazing today, and we definitely made a step up. So proper race today, really good battle up there, and I just put my head down and just kept on going. I looked back a couple times to have an idea what was going on, because there was so much back and forth, but it was good. Good battle with Brandon, good battle with Richie, and I think we showed a really good race. Hope everyone enjoyed, and nothing, just super happy to get these 25 points and really happy about the good battle.
Sean, a very short break to the next round. How does this improve your confidence moving forward into the second half of this season?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one for riders to win, and it just boosts you up, you know. So it shows that even after a tough day on Saturday, we can come back strong on Sunday and fight for the win and just make it happen, you know. So huge thank you to my whole team. Thank you to everyone supporting me, and thank you everyone at home watching.
Thanks, Sean.
Well, Greg, you know, you hear him talk about Jeremy Toy and all that team. I mean, when they go to work the night after a day like yesterday, they came back with a really good package this morning for him. He was quickest in warm-up, and just goes to show the experience of that whole crew down there.
Yeah, Jeremy Toy, as a racer himself, understands how he wants to make good for his rider for the next time. Let's get right back down to Hannah, who has Brandon Posh, who put on another great show for us.
Another second place finish today for Brandon Posh, and even closer to that elusive first win. Where were you looking for an opportunity to close that gap to Richie and overtake for second?
Race, I knew that I just had some pace through that last corner, and then through like turns 4 or 5, I knew that I had a really good drive out of there, and so I was just kind of, we were playing like they would gap me a little bit, I'd catch up, and then I'd go to the front and then probably do the same. So yeah, just the whole race, I just tried to stay there, and I made it there till the end this time, which is pretty much a first for me this year. So it's good to only, I mean, it's not good to only get beat by a little bit, but it's better than getting beat by multiple seconds. So yeah, I can't thank the whole Celtic HSBK racing team enough for giving me a good bike this weekend. Scotty Jensen, Scotty Ryan, just the whole crew, Brian, Glenn, yeah, everybody, and Arai, Speedy, Fresh and Lean, Classic Car Club of Manhattan, my mom, my dad, everybody for coming out, all my friends, and yeah, let's go again next week.
Congrats, Brandon. Thanks.
Yeah, you know, when you lose a race that close, it sometimes can twist at your heart a little bit more than if you get beat by 10 seconds, because the win was right smack there in front of him, Greg. So I know that feeling, and I know what he's feeling right now, but that'll make him hungry for Barber next week.
So Brandon Posh, his third second place finish, but first time this season for Richie Escalante. He's in third position, and he's with Hannah.
An intense battle to the finish for Richie Escalante with these other two riders. Take us through those last few laps and what was going on for you.
Yeah, for sure, very fun race. I'm really happy to finish on the podium. Always 16 points is very important for the championship. I pushed my maximum today. You know, I can to continue good my exit today, so I don't have the best feeling. So yeah, I'm really happy. Very fun race. So I'm happy to this weekend, the next weekend race again, like back to back. So I'm very hungry right now to go into Alabama and start Friday working. And yeah, I'm happy. And yeah, just thanks to Onos, Grace, Kawasaki, all my crew. It's an amazing year. So congrats to Sean and Brandon today. More fast like me, so yeah, it's good to finish on the podium, so continues to win this championship.
Thanks, Richard. Congrats.
Heard him say there, Greg, that it sounded like the bike wasn't quite as good on the exit of the corners as he would have liked possibly, but still gave credit to those guys. It was a tremendous race. Any one of those three guys could have won. As we look at the championship point standings, these two guys came in here 30 points apart. They're going to leave here 30 points apart. Brandon Posh back there in third. Aguilar, Silva, Olmedo, Zayat, Minster, and Benjamin Smith going to round out that top 9.
So 30 points, that's a race and a couple. So Sean Dillon Kelly really keeping it nice and clean as we head off to the next couple. Here's highlights of this one. Well, not really sure how this truck put it together, because there were a ton.
Yeah, there was a lot of passing at the front. We had a group of 6 or 7 guys for the majority for the first, let's say, third of this race. But it was Escalante, Pash, and SDK that were really showing to make all these passes and moves. Almedo actually fell back for a while, brought that back up. As you can see, these guys going off into turn 1. Escalante got out of shape. And then we had Almedo almost getting into the back of Brandon. He'd fall back and then fight his way all the way back up to the front. But these three guys at the front broke away like we've seen them do. Almeida all the while kept on closing in on them. STK made this pass twice on Escalante as they rolled into turn 5, opening the door for Brandon Posh both times. And when they came back across the line with about 3 to go, Escalante took the lead, and we were watching to see if the pace was going to go up any quicker. STK, I wanted no part of any of it. He had a bike that was handling really well, and he slides up underneath him in turn 10, Escalante, I mean. And then Brandon Posh does the exact same thing to Escalante on the last lap and comes so close to winning his first race, but it's STK on the day.
And you can see Sean Dylan Kelly have a look over his shoulder to see just how close Brandon Posh was, about half a bike length. There's Jeremy Toy, who gets to collect the manufacturer's trophy in this one, as Sean Dylan Kelly gets to celebrate his victory, and he'll enjoy that for about, I don't know, Jason, what, 4 or 5 days before we show up at Barber Motorsports Park next weekend in Supersport. But a well-deserved win. What a race strategy, how it played out for Sean Dylan Kelly. So that'll do it for us for Supersport racing here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. What a race we had. 11 thousandths of a second, your margin of victory from Sean Dylan Kelly over Brandon Posh. Only 30 points between these riders, first and second in this championship. What do we have going on? Make sure you join us next week from Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. For Handle Open, Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for joining. Certainly hope you enjoyed MotoAmerica Supersport Racing from New Jersey Motorsports Park.